In my last episode, we built this mega raid farm behind me and we got it right up to the finish line, but not quite over it. There's just a few more tasks that need to be done and I am super excited to see this thing working. So let's get those last few tasks done. The first task should be fairly straightforward. We need to set up some iron golems here and these will distract the evokers. You can see they actually can't hit us from here. So we'll set this up right here. I've removed the blocks that were right there because you can't assemble the iron golem with them there. And then hopefully I can get them back in there without the iron golem escaping, and it looks like we're good. So I just got 3 more of these to set up. That was pretty easy. I didn't set up the iron golems ahead of time, by the way, because I was pretty sure that the evokers, while we were actually trying to trap them, would end up killing the iron golems. I'm not 100% sure that's true, but it seems like there's a pretty good chance. So I just decided I would set them up after the fact. I thought that might be a little bit easier, but you can try it the other way by all means, especially if you have a lot of iron. This next part isn't super glamorous, but it's got to be done. We got to set up all these item filters down here, and it actually takes quite a lot of items in order to do that because there's no held hoppers in this system. The system operates by being entirely full, and then only when new items come through does it actually spit items into the shulker box. So we've got to fill these things completely. So starting at the second hopper down, we just fill it completely and then wait for it to drain. We have to do that with all of these. It's going to require quite a lot of emeralds. Fortunately, we have a bunch already, but if you didn't have a bunch, it might be a bit of a problem. You might only be able to fill like one of these filters and then maybe come back and once you've gotten some emeralds out of the system, try and set up the rest of them or something like that. I'm not exactly sure how that would work. This whole row is emeralds, except for these last 3 right here. This was going to be sticks. I'm only going to use one of these things for sticks, so I'm not going to use the other 2 because we don't need that many sticks. It's still going to produce a crazy amount of sticks, but I don't need 3 filters worth of sticks. And the same with bottles. I like having sticks and bottles come through the system. I just don't need a ton of them. And then we actually are going to use the full redstone, glowstone, and gunpowder, of course. And then spider eyes and sugar, I'm not going to set up any filters at all. And then probably what I'll do is, because you can't really fill these whole things, I'll probably just remove the hopper up here and replace it with a block so that the items just skate right over it. We don't have to worry about holding the whole hopper or anything like that. So yeah, this is going to take a little bit. Let's throw a bunch of emeralds into the system. And then once I've actually got one of these full all the way to where it's not coming through anymore, now I can actually set up the filter up above it to put one item in all of these ones, and then it should be 37 into this one right here. And then now finally that filter's set up, and we've still got all the rest of these to do. And then while I'm at it, these blocks back here are actually spawnable, so I'm going to fix that. AstaZora came up with a pretty good idea to save us some items on these filters. It requires 2 different named items that are named differently, or 2 different items. I've actually got both, but let's come over here and we'll actually remove all the items out of this filter here. And then we actually do need to dig into the system. We'll come down here all the way to the dropper. Now the dropper does need to be completely full with the item we're going to be filtering. And then what we want to do is we want to empty this one out, and let's put the first filter item here in these 4 slots, and then fill the other slot with emeralds. And then the one above it, empty that one out and put the second item right there. Fill that one up. And then over here, right on top of this dropper, we need a hopper pointing straight down. That would be our first filter item. And then so we've got the second filter item feeding into 2 different hoppers that have the first filter item. And then up this one, I've got a hopper here so we can put all the extra emeralds in there. And so we want to take all this out, and then we want the nether rack on this one. So nether rack right there, and full stack. Something's... All right, we're good. Okay, just make sure that's a full stack. And then up here, we want the cobblestone. So we're just going back and forth between them all. And then we only need 1 emerald in there. So we saved that many emeralds for the filter. We still do need 9 stacks for the dropper down below. And then we need 1 stack for each of the hoppers, except for the top one, only need 1 emerald. And then it'll eventually get up to the proper amount, no problem. But that does save us a lot. So same thing, on this one right over here. We got the full stacks here, and then we want to get rid of all this. There we go. So that one's cobblestone. So this one's going to be cobblestone as well. And then this one's going to be netherrack. Oh, I didn't empty up the one above. It's fine. There we go, netherrack. And we actually save a little bit more on this one. And then this one's got to be cobblestone. And if they start falling through, then you know that you put the wrong one in. But we only need one in there. And so, yeah, that should actually get me a decent number more filters set up. It's still, like I said, it's still a decent amount, but, and then we want to put this back and then come here and do that. And we can do this next one over here, and we can actually get at both of the ones here. So we can come over here, we can get at all the hoppers over here, all the hoppers here, and all the hoppers here, just from this one. So, yeah, this should work pretty well. We also need to load up all these shulker loaders with shulker boxes. Now, we have stackable shulker boxes, so I can actually custom load all the dispensers directly with a bunch of stacks of pre-colored shulker boxes, and then we don't have to worry about them coming out as all the same color. And then we can actually load up the regular shulker boxes into here, and when we start seeing regular colored shulker boxes coming out of the system, we know that that item has run out of shulker boxes. But I think we also need to load up the first shulker box first. And I think we probably should have done that ahead of time. I'm not sure exactly how we can do that now. Maybe if I remove this piston and then place the shulker box here and then put the piston back. That one's a little sideways, but it should be fine. And then if I can get the piston facing the right direction, everything should be okay, but that might be difficult. There might be a better way at this. Removing this observer here seems to allow me access to get in and put the piston where it needed to go. And then the observer's easy enough to put back. But again, it probably would be a lot easier if I just placed the shulker box in there in the first place. And one other thing I want to do here, actually a couple other things I want to do here, is that this chain of hoppers that feeds the regular shulker boxes, I don't want it to go in the last two loaders. I'm not actually using these last two loaders. On this side, I am actually, although I'm only using one of the set of hoppers for the sticks, I am using the whole loader, so it's fine for shulker boxes to go into this side. But on this side, I want to cut off this hopper line so it doesn't go any further than that. Also, there were some pretty large portions of this area that were spawnable. I actually had to shoot a creeper that was hanging out on this edge when I came in here in the first place. So it seems like just a few lights seems to do the trick. If you're new here, you may be wondering where we get all these shulker boxes. We have a shulker farm that we set up using Carpet Mod. And I've made a few videos about that in the past, and I will link them in the description if you are interested. If I didn't have infinite shulker boxes, I probably would not use all of these emerald shulker box loaders because emeralds aren't the chief resource I'm looking to get out of this. It's nice to have them, but you know, if I didn't have the shulker boxes to store them all, they would not be my priority. And then finally, we got to set up the filters for the shulker box sorter up here. So this one's actually a lot easier this time around. So we just need one of the item we're filtering and then 18 filter items like there, and then the rest filter items, and that's all we have to do. And then I'm not going to end up using the last two, so I'm going to fill the first slot with a filter item as well. So then we just need one redstone, 18 filter items, and then the rest, and then just do that all the way across. This one's this is a nice change. This one's pretty easy. So a few commenters and AstaZora testing this said that it is definitely possible to still die while using this machine. There are a few tricks we can try to do to avoid it, but it's still definitely possible. And it's also definitely possible that we could disconnect in some way. And I guess if these dispensers that are spitting water are active while you leave the chunk, then the snow will break. And I have no interest whatsoever in fixing that snow ever again. So hopefully that never happens. And there's a way to prevent it from happening, and that is by using a chunk loader. So somebody said from the main chunk, which is this chunk that we're in right now, they said 2 chunks diagonally, but I think they're just miscommunicated, because if I went 2 chunks that way and then 2 chunks that way, then that wouldn't actually load this chunk right here. We want to make sure this chunk gets loaded. So we actually just want one chunk diagonally. So right over there, or we could come over to this side as well. This side's a little close to this portal over here, but at the same time, the chunk loader will stop working on a server reset. So that guy's getting me. So I want to make sure that we actually see it and see if it's working or not. So I think putting it right there, and I just have to be careful about how I set up the actual portals. I should be able to keep these all from linking to each other, including that one up there, and that shouldn't be a problem. Let's find out. So I'm going to use Ilmango's chunk loader because Nembombs has stopped working in the most recent version. So I'll put a link in the description. Let me set that up, and then the other thing I need to do is I make sure that none of the blocks are spawnable. So cover it with glass or anything like that to make sure we don't get raiders spawning out on the chunk loader. I'm pretty sure this is the closest I've ever had two portals that link to two different places. These things are only 2 blocks apart, but they actually link to 2 different places. So this is still our main way of getting into the farm itself. So we come over here, it's still the same portal that links to the same one. And then if we come over here, this is the other portal. And this is the chunk loader. And these are pretty easy to set up, actually. It didn't take long at all. And you can see we've got glass on top of it, and there's actually carpet on top of the portal itself. And then you can see a minecart just went through there. When we come over to the other side, we can see it's got a hopper timer that times it. So it goes, it's got 19 items in the hopper timer. And again, I've linked the video in the description if you're interested in this. And then, so whenever the hopper timer goes off, sends a minecart through the portal, and then the other side just spits it right back over. And so that's how it works. That keeps the area loaded, and that should spare us from any issues. And also, like I said, this does stop working when the server resets, but as long as we come back and reload the area, which may also include reloading the overworld side, then it should start working again on its own. But we can actually see it, so if we want to check and make sure ahead of time before we start using the farm, that'd probably be a good idea. We can actually see it working, and then we know that it should be safe, that even if we die, that it shouldn't cause any problems with the farm. And then there's just a little bit of cleanup left to do. Got to remove these portal and all my shulker boxes here. And this lip right here is spawnable, so I think I'm going to put some half slabs up above it. And then I can still get up on here from the water, I believe. Yep, so that still works if needed. So we should be good to go at this point. I know that the village shifting and this whole minecart thing is working because I needed it to work in order for us to get the evokers here in the first place. So it should all be working. I'm still a little nervous, but let's go get some bad omen and hopefully we can see this thing go. All right, I've got bad omen. Let's get some things set up first. Now, as far as I understand it, we don't have to use an auto clicker, but you get the best rates if you use an auto clicker. And we've already got Tweakaroo loaded, and Tweakaroo can do that. Tweakaroo can do an auto clicker. So if we go into our tweak hotkeys, I believe if we just look under attack, so periodic attack, I've got set to X and Z. And then under our toggles, I think, let's see if we can find it. Nope. Generic attack. There we are. Attack and an interval. CCS Covenant said that 11 is what works, but Asta was testing it and he said 20 works better. That might lower our rates a little. It shouldn't matter that much, but he said it's safer at this route. So I'm going to go with that. So we should be ready to go. Let's go on in. And then we're going to get rid of our items. We've already got raids. So I've got this chest right here so that if we die, we don't lose all our items. I've got some food in my inventory already. So let's keep my sword. And I don't think I need armor. So let's just keep those 2 items on us. And then come on in here. And he said a little bit to the left, I guess. And right up against this thing. And then we do our X and Z. And then that should start shifting the villages. And we should start seeing some raiders fairly soon. I've loaded up my spectator account. I'm not sure what's going on here. The snow is still intact on both sides. Everything seems to be working properly. We've got water there. The villages are cycling. You can actually come down and see it. You can see there it is. And you've even got the particle effects. I've checked all 3 of these and they're all working. But we're not seeing any raiders. We've got a raid. but we're not seeing any raiders whatsoever. And these snow spots are the only places they should be able to spawn. I'm not sure exactly what's going on here. Well, I managed to get it working. We were able to get some raiders to actually show up by coming with a higher bad omen level, but the raid kept getting stuck, and it was pretty clear that it was still counting the evokers against the raid, and breaking the minecart didn't seem to be cycling the villages, even though I knew the redstone component of that was actually working. We were worried it was the evokers and they were causing a problem, so I took a world download and I removed the evokers, and that fixed the problem, but it was only spawning one raid level at a time. So we weren't getting nearly the kind of rates that you would expect from a farm like this. And that's when I started to think that maybe because it was clearly not cycling the villages, that maybe it had something to do with the villagers. And I've actually come back and tested it later, and it turns out that it's because I traded with the villagers. So don't do that. Do not trade with the villagers. That actually caused the problem. I was able to duplicate the problem by trading with the villagers in the world download. So don't do that. And now we got it working. So it wasn't that hard to fix. It only took me about 5 minutes to actually move new villagers in. I killed the old ones, put new ones in their place, and everything seems to be working great. Oh, this is fantastic. Over on the nether side, we can actually see the Ravagers dying, and we can hear them, and there are so many of them. And then while I was in spectator mode, AstaZora called me over because he was playing with the fangs on some evokers that were stuck in the raid farm, and he was obviously having a whole lot of fun. As awesome as this raid farm is, I've had some trouble actually surviving through this thing. It's killed me quite a few times, but after a little bit of work, I finally managed to find something that seems pretty stable. So if we go in here and we attack it, eventually, over time, the minecart will slowly push me back, and I'll end up back here. And when I do that, I'm not killing all of them. And then the ones in the back will actually start entity cramming, and when they're entity cramming, they will start attacking you and they can hit you, and you'll be back far enough that they can actually hit you, and then all the fangs will eventually kill you and you will die. So you've got to push forward the whole time while you're AFKing. But the problem is I was trying to like point towards the left like it said, but if you do that, you end up in this corner, and if you do that, you will die super duper quick. Like these, the evokers or whatever, something, they just kill you in a couple of hits, and then you're just dead like instantly. Even through a totem, I've been using totems quite a bit, and they still killed me. So what I've done is I figured out you actually need to point straight on, and then you can do your automatic attack, and then you can, well, you know, like if you're just AFKing away from your computer, you could probably wedge down your W button. But what I've been doing is I've been going into my control settings, and this allows me to still use my computer, so I can change the walk forward to the middle mouse button, and then I'll just swap it with the pick block button, so that now my middle mouse button is my walk forward, and then I activate the X plus Z to do the periodic attacks, and then I'm holding down the middle mouse button, and I shouldn't be moving at all, but I am actually walking forward, and then I do the F3 plus T trick to reload my resource packs, and then I let go of my middle mouse button, and that will keep me pressing forward on my, I'm walking forward. I'm kind of like auto walking, and I'm doing this. And also my periodic attack is set to 20. I tried it at 11, but I ended up stuck in a loop where I wasn't actually doing any damage. And when I tried to fix it, they ended up killing me. So I've been doing this for, I mean, I'm level 230, and it's actually burning most of the experience, so we could actually stop this now. And let's set my controls back. So I've been doing it for quite a while. It seems to be pretty stable. It's not 100% safe, but I think I probably could AFK this for a while and be fine. And if we come down here, we can see what I've racked up here, which is pretty darn decent. Apparently there is a spawning spot that I have missed. There's a skeleton up there. So we've got emeralds forever, just emeralds and emeralds and emeralds, and they're coming up into this fourth chest back here, which is half full. So that's a lot of emeralds. We've got 13 shulker boxes of redstone, and basically 13 of all of the witch drops except for sticks. Apparently just using one sorter didn't really limit those at all. It did limit the glass bottles a little bit, and the rest of these are empty. They're for the last ones for extra items, and then this would be sugar and spider eyes, which I'm not collecting. But yeah, that's pretty impressive. 13 shulker boxes of redstone dust. I've been getting, with the attack speed, it's set at 20. It is a little bit slower. I think I'm getting about 6 shulker boxes of redstone dust an hour, which is darned impressive. But with the faster attack speed, I should probably be getting closer to 8 shulker boxes an hour, but it's not, it doesn't seem to be stable. It's not as safe. So I'd rather have the safe, steady amount of redstone. Oh, there's that skeleton than the alternative. So if I want to do this overnight, which I do want to do this overnight, that would set me up with redstone for quite a while. I'm obviously going to need some more storage for all these emeralds. So I'm going to extend these chests downwards, and I'm going to set up a little crafting station so that we can craft these emeralds into emerald blocks down there. And then we should be good to go. This is a fantastic farm. I have set up the new storage and crafting setup, and that is available down here, down this little water drop. So we've got a whole bunch of storage that's extra for the emeralds, and it's coming down into here. I've actually AFK'd this for about 6 more hours, so this is going up probably 5 chests worth of emeralds. There's just a ton of emeralds in the system right now. So this is my new crafting system. This is a modification. I've been using Ilmangos for a while and I like it, but what it does is it waits until you actually shut the shulker box. So if I come here, I didn't actually hit escape. It'll actually close the shulker box for me so I can craft these items, grab them. And this is Ilmangos works really well if you're doing something like sea lanterns and you gotta grab 2 different types of items and you might need to put items back. But when you're always going to grab exactly all of the items, it's just faster and it allows it to cycle the shulker box faster if it doesn't wait for you to actually close it. It actually starts the process right away. I'm using item scroller, by the way, to do the auto crafting, so I can just fly right through this crafting really, really quickly. And it's just a little bit faster for every cycle than Ilmango's system. It's also a much smaller system. I don't know if we can, I got some rockets in here. We can get a look at it behind. It's a lot smaller and a lot easier to build than Ilmango's system. It's not very big at all. So I like that about it as well. So I'm probably going to use this for quite a few systems in the near future. And then the other side works the same way. It doesn't actually wait for me to close the shulker box. It just cycles it right away. And we've already got a whole bunch of shulker boxes of emerald blocks here. Throw that back up there. And then we've got another crafting system. This one isn't attached to anything. This is for manual crafting. So if I come up here, what we'd have to do is we'd have to bring down the items with us. So if I want to grab all this redstone, which that is a lot of redstone, by the way, then I can come down, put it over here, throw it in there, and then I might want to go grab the rest of it. It's a little bit inconvenient, but this allows me to have one crafting system that I can use, but for both redstone and glowstone. So that's kind of nice. So I ended up with 4 shulker boxes and a third of redstone blocks. I think it was actually getting closer to 4 shulker boxes an hour, which is a little disappointing, but at the same time, I've never seen this much redstone before in my life. I definitely would like more, and I'll probably AFK it a little bit more. I wish it were a little bit safer because I'm still having some small problems. I can AFK for a decent amount of time, but there's still a risk of death. So that definitely complicates things. I would like to just be able to AFK it for a long time and be sure that I'd survive, but that's not a guarantee. But still, 4 shulker boxes in the third is pretty decent. Oh, and if we want to have some fun, let's go into the statistics and go under mobs and scroll down a little, and we should see some pretty ridiculous numbers. 109,000 evokers that I have killed. If we scroll down a little bit more, we got pillagers, 508,000. Scrolling down further, only 5 ravagers, and 413,000 vindicators. And witches, oh, that's wither skeletons, 108,000 witches. So those are some ludicrous numbers. I want to do one more thing before I end the episode. I want to help AstaZora out on something. He's been working on a project for months now in creative, and it is so ridiculously overbuilt that even I didn't even consider building something this big. It's ridiculous. But I mean, I do appreciate the overbuildedness of it. And, you know, I think he's bitten off a little more than he could chew. He could probably use some of my help. So I've offered to go help him. Now that he's actually building it in vanilla, I've helped him a little bit with the design and creative as well. But now that he's actually building it in vanilla, it's a big project. And I would like to help him make it a little bit faster if I can. So let's fly out there. He left me a little compass here that lets me get there. So just follow this. And let's go check out his new project. I don't believe AstaZora has said yet what he's working on here, so I'm not going to spoil that. Instead, I'm going to put a link to his channel down in the description. If you want to check that out, I'm sure he has plenty of good information about what he's working on here. What I can say, however, is that these over here are that I was working on. These are our 4X loaders, and I think I set up 8 of them. And then while I was working on that, AstaZora was working on the other side, setting up 8 on that side as well. And then there's an ice track to deal with all the items. This system deals with that many items that quickly that it needs, what, 16 4X loaders? So yeah, like I said, ridiculously overbuilt. And the other thing I can say is that this floor looks magnificent. AstaZora is really good at this kind of design, and the whole hall, there's just a lot of really intricate detail going on here. And then I can bring up the template. You can see there's a lot more that's going to be added in the future. This is just a magnificent looking building. I really love that. And while we're on the template, so when we're working in creative, I get a little slap happy from time to time. I'll admit it. And I started goofing off, and I started posting signs all around this build that said AstaZora sucks, just as a joke. And I wanted to see if I could get any of them into the template that he saved, because he couldn't find them all. And I'm really proud to say that I did. This one especially is one of my favorite hiding spots. I hid it inside of the gold pile, and he never found it. And it's part of the schematic now. And now that I have had a chance to work on it in vanilla, now I get an opportunity to hide a real sign inside of his build somewhere. So I'm going to do just that. And I'm not going to show it on camera because I know for a fact that he's going to watch this video. So I'm just going to hide a sign somewhere in here, and let's see if he can find it. While we're goofing off a little bit, I want to talk about this wall hopper here. It's just a hopper that's pointing into a wall. I guess it's part of something that he used to have that got torn out, but it ended up in the schematic, so I placed it. And there's actually one on all of these walls because it got copied, so there's one over here. And I told him that he's not allowed to remove these. These are the wall hoppers, and they're my friend. And so I need you guys to make sure that he does not remove this. If you catch this wall and it doesn't have a wall hopper on it, you better tell him in the comments that he is not allowed to remove these wall hoppers. So that's all I have time for today. I want to thank you so much for watching. I'm going to do a more concise video that's just going to be the tips and tricks for how you can build that raid farm, because I mean, this was 2 episodes, over an hour long of total content. If you're looking for how you can build it yourself, it might be better if I compress that into just one like 15-minute video that gives you all the points on how you can build that and stay a little bit safer and not have to deal with some of the issues that I did. So look for that in the very near future. But until then, again, I want to thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you again real soon. Bye now.